Good morning and welcome to the 9:30 call. Good morning, Zaina. It's great to see folks. Um, I know Angelina. Good morning, Angelina. And I know Umaiya is here as well. It's great to see folks. A few quick announcements. Tomorrow, Commissioner Kershaw will be joining us. And there was no July board meeting, but she wanted to kind of come and keep it going. Her 9:30 call appearances, and that will be translated with Excel from English to Spanish and to Portuguese. So please spread the word about that. As we've talked about, we are hosting the reception for reflection to celebrate our fourth cohort of our advocacy network participants. And so that is next Tuesday at 6:30. So I will put, thank you, Shauna. I will put the link in chat for that. And so we hope folks will join us. A commemorating of their year-long experience as advocates. And today we are so excited to welcome our summer interns from Strategies for Children. And I'm going to put a link in chat. Titus presented last summer on our internship program. And so I'm going to put that link of the slides in chat. And then Titus will just turn it over to you quickly for quick update and grounding of kind of our internship program and strategies. And then I'll look forward to introducing the interns.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, everyone, for being here today to listen to our three amazing summer interns, Zaina, Umaiya, Angelina. All amazing. Great work this summer. Can't believe the summer is almost over for the internship piece anyway. But they have worked very well together and are a great team. And what can I say? Strategies takes a lot of pride in our internship program. We've had more than 40 interns over the last 10 years, a variety of colleges in Boston, in Massachusetts, and beyond. Variety of degrees pursued in terms of like level, AA, BA, masters, postmasters, and then the range of topics studied from, like paralegal, policy advocacy to business or, nonprofit leadership, child development, of course. So we are very fortunate to have interns want to be with us, and we give them as much support as we can. And um, so I'll stop for now and let the interns speak for themselves.
Thanks so much, Titus. So we have Umaiya, Angelina, and Zaina, and I'm just gonna Neri put the blurb in the chat. Thank you, Neri. So let's just go in that order. Umaiya, Angelina, and Zaina. Tell us a little bit about each of you and how you came to be at Strategies for Children. So we'll start with you, Umaiya.
Hi, my name's Umaiya, and I'm from Boston. I'm currently pursuing a paralegal certificate at Bunker Hill Community College. I was able to connect with strategies through my school with the help of Laura, who's on the Zoom. She was able to get my resume straight to Titus, and after that, Titus and I had an interview, and it's been great since then. I was so appreciative that you guys had chosen me for this internship.
And tell us a little bit more about you, Umaiya. What do you bring into Strategies?
Well, I have a background in animation and VFX, and I wanted to pivot my career into more of the legal side. So I decided to enroll in Bunker Hill for the paralegal certification. And I've been taking a lot of classes such as criminal law, litigation, and when I came to strategies, I was able to use my written as well as my verbal skills to advocate for policy as well as do a lot of communications work.
Thanks. Angelina, what about you?
Hi everyone, I'm Angelina. I'm a second year Master's of Clinical Social Work student at Boston College, and I'm also getting my a certificate in Child and Family Policy. And so for that, one of our requirements is doing a summer internship. So my school was able to connect me with Strategies for Children in that way. In terms of previous experience, I'm really passionate about research. So I started doing that in undergrad at Emmanuel College and then continued that through grad school in terms of being research assistants in a variety of different labs. And then previously, I was a float teacher at Children's Hospital Child Care Center. So actually, my supervisor, Donna, is also on this call. So hi. Um, and yeah, I've been really excited to really be in this internship and really delve deeper into my research skills and then also connect it to policy.
Thanks so much, Angelina. And Zaina.
Hello, I'm Zaina. I'm from Malden, but I go to school at George Washington University in DC. I'm currently studying political science and American studies, and I found strategies actually through I am familiar with some people in BPS who actually worked with Amy in the past. So she kind of told me about what strategies is all about, and I had previously worked for Senator Markey. In that role, I worked a lot with education policy, and I knew that that was something that I wanted to kind of continue to learn about. So I thought that strategies would be a great place to broaden my knowledge in that area. So I had my interview with Titus, and just like how Umaiya said, I'm so grateful that I was able to have this experience and come on board with you guys for the summer. And I've learned so much in such a short amount of time. And yeah, I'm so excited to be on the 9:30 call and talk to you guys.
Thanks so much, Zaina. So now we'll kind of go into the Q&A interview portion of the 9:30 call. And so can you, and this can go in any order, talk a little bit about your experience as an intern, what has been most helpful, and then we'll also add what else, what have you had the opportunity to do? One of the things is our internships are remote, and I think we have learned a lot as an organization. You know, we are a remote organization, so we have figured out how to host interns and make sure that they have an experience that isn't just sitting on Zoom. We try to integrate real life experiences. But could you tell us a little bit about kind of how it has, you know, what you have, what's been most helpful, and then what have you had the opportunity to do?
I can go first. When I first started, I have never worked a remote job, so that was a transition. I think what made it very easy was that everybody seemed very eager to meet and commune and help me out and figure out a project I want to work on, figure out they're also really uh, uh, they really wanted to share what their projects they were working on and what policies that were currently being passed through the legislation. I've never been on the back end of that, seeing how bills get passed or bills get burnt and have to get renewed in the next year. So that was really interesting. It also got me excited about policy. I have never done policy work. I've usually done fundraising grassroots work. So this was a really good experience for me to see how it goes at the top.
Thanks. Angelina or Zaina? Zaina?
Yeah, so my biggest takeaway from the internship and like kind of what the experience was for me was extremely different from any other that I had had. Obviously, there is that remote aspect, but there's also, I think that because Strategies is such a small team, there was that added responsibility in the tasks that I was doing. So, for example, I have been working with Marissa very closely this whole internship. I'm a huge policy person. So that's like kind of my bread and butter. So I've been working with her mostly and on things like the bill tracker. I drafted the letter to the governor and so things like that where I was kind of given a lot of autonomy to like they would give me my tasks, I would go and do it, and then it's like one round of feedback and then that's it, which is great. And that process is really different from what I was used to before, where internships kind of equaled answering the phones and there's not too much professional development or too much actually like getting to talk with my superiors and talk with my peers on what um the importance of their work really is and also getting to talk to all of the 9:30 callers and listen to these calls every morning and get the experience and get to listen kind of what is happening outside of the SFC bubble was really, really influential to me, especially. I think that also working in policy on this side is very different from working in policy on the government side. So getting to see the advocacy part of that. So, for example, like Marissa does the bill tracker. We also do different like getting to do like one pagers and stuff with like internal one pagers for different policy things. So actually getting to read state legislature, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not super familiar with prior to my internship. I wasn't really reading the bills that were coming into state legislature prior. But getting to see who are the big names in education policy in Massachusetts, who is kind of like spearheading a lot of these things that we're working on. And also on the other side, getting to tie in the federal aspect of that as well.
Angelina.
Yeah, so this is also my first remote job, but what I've really taken advantage of because it is remote is the different connections that the Strategies for Children staff have. So I was able to talk to Jessica Goldberg at Tufts University for their early childhood needs assessment. I was able to sit in on a meeting with Maria, who's the head of the Office of the Child Advocate. And then I also went to No Small Feet, Massachusetts, which was organized by the Children's Trust and then the Children's League. So those are just a couple of different opportunities that I've been able to take advantage of, which has been really nice, just to kind of expand my knowledge and also get to meet other people who are really passionate about early childhood and education and care and what they've been doing in this space.
And Angelina and I also had a day in the office together, which is also different for me. But so remembering what it was like to sit across from somebody and be able to just kind of answer questions as we go. And I think you all kind of touched on, but we really integrate interns into our staff. So we have one staff meeting a week that all the interns come to. And then Titus supervises them. As you heard, Marissa is awesome. Marissa's out sick today, which is why she's not here. But kind of coming up with projects. And in the beginning, it's a little awkward because as you heard, everyone's bringing these like incredible, unique gifts and talents. And how do we always talk about things being mutually beneficial. And Zaina, I like the way that you framed it as professional development because I think we believe strongly in that. There are so many things for folks to do, but we really see our interns as an ambassador for strategies for children. We want to give them experiences, remote kind of learning things, but also maximizing what they are bringing to this organization. I think all three of you have been able to lend an eye as we're updating our website, as we're working on materials to kind of give us feedback about like what does it look like maybe when you're not embedded in an organization for 20 years, like what are your reactions? So can you each talk about one of the things we try to have folks do is some sort of project for most kind of college credit. There needs to be kind of a deliverable at the end of this. You all have many deliverables. And we also stress that it's not about everything being wrapped up in a bow because we also know that that's not how policy and advocacy works. But what are you working on over the summer?
I can go first. So I have many different little projects that kind of all tie into one, or like fall under one umbrella. So one of the things that I heard a lot in kind of this like advocacy space in general was the timeline of implementation when it comes to what happens after a policy or after a bill or something is already passed. So once something it kind of enters into effect, the timeline of actually getting that implemented and getting seeing that change be made is a little bit slow as we've kind of been able to like see. So I wanted to kind of think about strategy's role and what we already do and how we can better understand the reasons for that and then also kind of help that implementation move forward. So I've been working with Marissa on kind of thinking of things with that. I had the opportunity to meet with people from EC and Eugenia, which was so awesome. Who I also got to see her in person at the Common Start birthday party in Boston a couple weeks ago. So getting to meet with them and kind of talk to different people about that has been really, really helpful in this in this thinking. Um, and then additionally, I also wanted to kind of think of what are the what are the parts of our advocacy and in this like network that we have who is not really being represented as greatly, and then what are the kind of deficits in representation like overall. So it's kind of like two little things. It's like implementation and how can we speed it up, and then also like how can we ensure that the advocacy that we are doing is representative and effective for all people who we need it to be. And for me, one of the biggest communities that I wanted to focus on is like the Spanish speaking Latino community. I, again, like when I worked with Senator Markey, I had a lot of experiences with nonprofits in the area that are very, very small and kind of in charge of this like brunt of advocacy and like trying to fix all these great problems that our community is experiencing. So getting to talk to, for example, like I got to talk to Harold and Paula, which was so awesome, and just getting to do more research on that front, and then also kind of tie in what SFC is already doing and making great strides in terms of like translating material and things like that. But then how can we beyond like outside of translating materials, how can we kind of make sure that we're including um, the Latino community in our advocacy and making sure that it is serving them how we need it to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Zaina.
So, I did a lot of communications work this internship. Something that I am really excited for is the reception for reflection for this cohort in the advocacy network. I was able to meet with this cohort this year and learn about their different projects, as well as plan the reception for reflection, in which they'll be celebrated for all the work they've been doing this year. Not only does it strategies have this internship, but they also have the advocacy network in which they're able to bring people from different communities and give them these project-based responsibilities and have a project to show for it at the end. I think it's a great way to connect with the different communities in Boston, as well as empower early education leaders and educators, because they do a lot of the work that we're not able that isn't seen, but is deeply beneficial to children as well as families, especially in underserved populations. I was also able to work on some revival work, which is in continuation at the moment for the early childhood agenda. That is a process in which new roles are being introduced, but for right now, we're just trying to revive the social media on Instagram. Also, one of the projects that I'm really excited for is I am making a framework for the Strategies for Children podcast, which includes splicing up a lot of these 9:30 calls and hopefully in the future having a different framework for the 9:30 call in which it can be easily translated into different forms of media that people can listen to on the go. I feel like this project targets more of the community rather than the strong leaders and the pillars of early education. We want to reach people who don't even know about strategies, and we also want to connect people to different opportunities that they might not know about, which is the most important aspect of my project. I think outreach and community or organizing is very important. And one of the ways is coming down to their level and meeting the times and getting a big microphone. Um, so yeah, that's the last project I'm working on.
And Angelina, it is exciting work.
So my project first started when I sat in on a meeting with Maria and Amy, and we were talking about the different family resource centers that are throughout the state, and then how there's going to be work in terms of like what it would look like if they were reimagined. So I read the Office of the Child Advocate report on different on recommendations in terms of increasing access and the quality of the programs. And then I also looked at um, family resource centers in different states throughout the country. So California, Washington, Pennsylvania, New York, really got a wide breadth of like what different states are doing in their programs and seeing how it could be applicable to the Massachusetts model in terms of the different staff, and then the programs in terms of co-locating state agencies so that those resources are more accessible to the families rather than the families going to the resources. So that's been one of my main projects that I'm really excited about.
And as folks can see, kind of each of them bringing their skills, their talents, and making it come alive here. And I would love for each of you to share. You've all touched on like policy can seem very nebulous. It can be hard to get your arms around it. It can be like, what are you talking about? So, can you talk about an aha moment? And it doesn't have to be like, oh, I read this bill and now I understand this, but just how we do our work. And you are like making us sound so good. So, thanks for that. But how, when you've done your work or you've met with people, what has been an aha moment for you when you think about also one of the classes, one of the things we think about for interns is like what can you learn in an organization that you can't necessarily read in a book or learn in a class? So as you think, as we kind of close out, what have those aha moments been that you have kind of been able to put some things together? And I'm also adding in the chat to share some 930 called love and appreciation for you all.
I can start. So one of the things that I learned about family resource centers is one that it's like codified in the law, but also taking the policy that's already in place and then, like Zaina said, in terms of like how it is being implemented and kind of depending on where the family resource is located and the different populations that they're serving, how those family resource centers are operating, what languages the staff speaks in terms of what are the needs of the community, is the family resource center even accessible, and then different things like that. And I would say in terms of the research aspects, I've been doing a lot of research on how can family support be the center of family resource centers, and then also implementing early intervention services and how it can be more accessible to families, and kind of just seeing how the the bones of the law are there, but seeing how you can add nuance to it in terms of making it equitable and making sure that the communities where the family resources are supposed to be helping are actually receiving the services that they need, in making it accessible, affordable, and linguistically and culturally responsive.
Great.
So I was tasked with creating a people map by Neri to connect strategies for children with other Spanish-speaking Latino organizations to future communicate with. Um, and when I was looking at the types of work that they're doing, they're usually like family resource centers, as well as just family centers that can also resources for the families to be able to find a job, to be able to learn English, to find equitable, accessible childcare. And there were so many of them, as well as there were all over Massachusetts. And I used to work at another nonprofit that was very specific towards Latino people. And I had never learned about the family resource center side of it. So I had no idea that that there were going to be so many, as well as that they were also seeking funding and that they were all in the greater Boston area that we had not had connected to yet. And I thought that as I was compiling like a list of contacts as well as like learning about what they do in their centers, they they are connected to different communities that don't even have the access to go somewhere else.
Right.
So everything in the centers were supposed to take care of like their whole life. So not even just for like not even like the job and the English speaking side of it, but like housing, um like after school activities, like where can you put your family if you're able to get access to education. And I
Right.
like the holistic, well-rounded side of just community in the end. You want to build a community with the people around you, and you want to be able to have them live very comfortably. And with the fact that SFC was trying to connect with these organizations that they have not previously connected with, just made me realize like the policy work that they are working on is supposed to be for everyone. It is, and there is not enough because we were also looking outside of Massachusetts into Rhode
Right.
Island. So, the outreach is growing and it's constant.
Thanks so much. And Zaina, take us home. What are aha moments for you?
So I am big in like working in policy, and my biggest thing that was like kind of not necessarily like a positive one, but one where I'm like, this is an easy fix, I feel. There's so much policy related to education, as we know, especially in the state legislature, and there's such room for inclusion when it comes to early childhood. So kind of seeing that early childhood is not often included, or EEC as an organization is not often included in the verbiage of this policy to me was like this is why we kind of need this advocacy because it's so easy to kind of throw that in there because it does truly affect our work as well. Um, so kind of seeing that and like being able to think about like how it's such an easy tie-in, but it's not often thought about,
Right.
just kind of made me appreciate a little bit more the work of like everyone on this call and like all of the early childhood advocates that we work with and that I've had the privilege to kind of get to know more over the summer.
Well, thank you so much to the three of you. We are also blogging, so all of our interns come on the 9:30 call, which check, you did that this morning. We will also be featuring each of them in a blog. So we're going to run them all together, but they each have a blog. So we'll include that in the follow-up email so you can just hear more from the interns. Please keep the love and appreciation coming in the chat. We appreciate everyone being here this morning. Remember, tomorrow we will hear from Commissioner Kershaw. So please spread the word and join me in thanking Zaina, Angelina, and Umaiya for joining us this morning. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.